Over there is Europe, and the two continental plates are constantly pulling away from each other, and it's that causes the volcanoes.
Iceland's so near the Arctic that in midsummer there's daylight virtually 24 hours a day. At least that makes getting up for an early excursion a little bit easier, but deciding when to go to sleep can be a problem. Planes are used like trains here. 1 or 2 day excursions by air are quite common.
During the long winter months especially, these planes are a real lifeline for some of the outlying communities, and Icelandic pilots are among the most skilled in the world at landing in difficult and icy conditions.
I'm off for the day to the Westman Islands, just south of the mainland, and a favourite for birdwatchers. Its main claim to fame dates back to 1973, when there was a massive volcanic eruption. Miraculously, no one died. The entire population of 5,000 was evacuated overnight by the Icelandic fishing fleet. 20 years later, the earth still smoulders.
This is nature at its most raw. 20 years ago, none of this land was here. It's cool on the surface now, but if you dig down just a couple of feet, it's hot enough to bake bread.
Desperate tactics were employed to stem the wall of molten lava. Hoses and pumps poured seawater on to dam the flow. 300 homes were lost, but the island's fishing harbour, so vital to the island's economy, was saved. The eruption did have one benefit. The hot rocks underneath are used to heat water for central heating.
There's one thing I haven't seen in Iceland yet, and that's the ice.
This was the climax of my trip, skidooing at 30 miles an hour across a glacier, 2 hours drive from Reykjavik. Iceland isn't a conventional holiday destination. The cold weather and high prices see to that, but neither is it the barren wasteland I'd rather naively imagined. Perhaps we should give this forgotten neighbour more than a passing glance. 2 nights bed and breakfast in a 3-star hotel in Reykjavik costs from £251, including flights and transfers. A week's escorted tour of Iceland costs from £799, including flights and full board in hotels and guest houses. The price of the one-day tour of the Westman Islands is from £72, and a 1-hour skidoo ride, £50.
For the past couple of weeks, Eamon has been visiting 2 of the most popular areas in mainland Spain for British holidaymakers, the Costa del Sol and the Costa Blanca. Well, this week, his comparison of the costas ends in one of the first regions to be developed for tourists, the Costa Brava, where he prompts for the busy resort of Tossa de Mar.
Costa Brava means wild coast, but along its rugged exterior lies Tossa de Mar. Far from being wild, it's a family resort. With a medieval fortress towering over the beach, it's one of the few places you can take in the local history and never move from the comfort of your beach towel.
It can be a dilemma on holiday, can't it? Whether to soak up the sun or soak up the local culture. Well, Tossa may be able to provide the ideal compromise, because here history begins just a stroll from the beach.
The town walls were built in the 12th century as a deterrent to marauding pirates. But eventually, these walls were breached and the old town marauded. Not by people wielding swords, but people wielding paintbrushes. This is now home to Tossa's artistic community. Their booty, lots of good light and dramatic scenery, enough to fill many galleries and a museum. Here you'll find Tossa's most important works and your only guarantee of an empty beach. Tossa has 3 sandy beaches, but at the height of the season, finding a spacious plot is not that easy. The resort's mainly frequented by Italians and the Spanish in July and August, so if you're the kind that doesn't like to hear an English accent whilst abroad, Tossa could fit the bill. A space at last. But then, when you do eventually find a spot, are there for a very good reason.
You see, the trouble is, a lot of boat trips operate to and from the beach, and if you don't want to be caught in the stampede, you'd be advised to stay well back.
Glass-bottom boats provide trips round the bay, but if you want to explore further afield, a water bus service hops from resort to resort along the coastline. The trip south to Blanes takes about an hour and costs around £3.50. What it does is actually make you appreciate just how green the Costa Brava coastline is. This boat doesn't stop shaking. Costa Brava coastline will not be the only thing that turns green. Be advised though, turning green is not restricted to the high sea. There's the high road as well.
If you tend to be particularly susceptible to travel sickness, it may pay to avoid the coastal road out of town. The first 10 miles alone have 145, and this is one of them, stomach-churning bends.
Maybe the boat wasn't so bad after all. Nearby La Bisbal is the centre of the Catalan pottery industry. With most things being made on the premises, prices here are the cheapest you'll find. From pepper pots to Mickey Mouse badges, every shop sells ceramics, and it's pretty hard to come away without buying at least one souvenir.
Thank you very much. And the really nice thing is that whatever you buy, they'll wrap it up really well so that you can actually carry it on the plane without breaking it. Thank you very much.
If it's more than pottery you're after, visit the nearby city of Girona. It's the place for top quality shops, and the shade of the tall narrow streets provide an escape from the heat of the sun. Don't worry about finding your way around. Its tour guides will find you.
I certainly do. Can you help me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, where are we now?
Now we are here, and this is the juice quarter.
Lovely. Just down there. Can I keep the map?
Yes, of course.
Oh, you're very kind. That's great.
How about that for service with a smile?
Very kind. Thank you. Bye.
So, armed with my map and good advice, I managed to find my way to one of Girona's oldest and most unusual buildings.
If the Spanish know a thing or two about swimming pools, well, they've had plenty of practice. This bathing house dates from the 12th century, and although a welcome retreat on a hot day like this, unfortunately, the only thing you can dip nowadays is the odd coin for good luck.
But the theme is strictly modern on the outskirts of Tossa, with its fair share of souvenir shops and where most of the self-catering apartments are located. In the evenings, everyone tends to congregate in the more select areas at the foot of the old town. The restaurants here are popular, so if you want to dine in the romantic setting of the castle walls, don't be caught out like us. Book in advance, it gets very busy.
Generally speaking, the closer to the old town walls you get, the more upmarket the restaurants become. And if you fancy a walk along the ramparts after dinner, just go easy on the old vino. It's a long way down.
You can have a week's holiday in Tossa de Mar this summer, staying in a 3-star self-catering apart hotel from £204. The price includes flights and transfers. If you'd rather stay in a hotel, a week's half-board in 3-star accommodation costs from £239, including flights and transfers. In this week's Traveller's Tips, 10 things you didn't know about holiday insurance. You don't have to buy a holiday that includes travel insurance, although occasionally it comes as part of the deal. Watch out for travel companies that automatically add the cost of insurance to your holiday bill. You may want to shop around for more appropriate or cheaper cover. Health. You must volunteer your medical history even if you're not asked. You may not be covered for a recurring illness, and you could be faced with huge medical bills or even the cost of an air ambulance, which, for example, from Spain to Heathrow is about £7,000. Don't assume you're insured if you're on a hospital waiting list. You're probably not if you have to cancel your holiday to take up your hospital place or receive treatment for that medical condition while abroad. Neither will you be covered for any HIV-related illness or a problem connected with a pregnancy if you're more than 32 weeks pregnant. Belongings. Your expensive items may not be fully insured, and there's often an upper limit for any one item. For example, a £500 camera may only be covered for up to £200. Don't put valuables in your suitcase. Items lost or damaged while in the aircraft hold will not be covered. Taking your own car abroad, get a green card from your insurance company. They're often free. Your own fully comprehensive insurance may only cover you for third parties, so check if you need extra insurance. Your insurance will probably not cover you for dangerous activities. For example, you may not get paid if you have an accident while skiing off-piste. If you're away for more than 28 days, then check your household policy. You may find restrictions apply and you'll need extra cover. And finally, don't spoil your holiday. Boring and tedious though it may be, read the small print of the full policy before you sign. With the introduction of charter flights to Australia a few years ago, the country has become more affordable for British holidaymakers. But many people tend to think of Sydney and the Great Barrier Reef as the places to visit. But South Australia is famous for its vineyards and its mountainous outback. The Mediterranean-style climate makes it ideal for touring, but if all that packing and unpacking, finding hotels, stopping for meals and so on, all puts you off a driving holiday, then why not hire your own self-contained mobile hotel? Sue Cook took her family to the state capital Adelaide, where they picked up their motorhome.
I love a sunburnt country, a land of rolling plains, of rugged mountain ranges, of drought and flooding rains.
Well, that's a poem most children learn at school in Australia, and certainly the legendary beauty of this country is something I've wanted to explore for a long, long time. And now the children are old enough to enjoy it, here we are. And for the next few days at least, you're coming along with us, so I'd better introduce you to the family. This is Megan, and this is Charlie, and Billy's over there doing the driving. From Adelaide, we headed north in search of the outback, but we weren't going to get that far on our first day. After 2 hours of driving, we'd reached the Clare Valley, part of the famous Australian wine region. By now, the 21-hour flight from England was beginning to take its toll, and this seemed like an ideal place to stop and spend the night. For £8, this 3-star campsite had all mod cons and gave us the chance to inspect our new home. This is a powered site, which means that every plot has its own water supply and its electricity. Just plug it in. Now I can run the air conditioning, the fridge, the oven, the microwave, and I'm all set. Inside it sleeps 4. This is a double bed. This is our bed actually, but the kids keep creeping in there whenever they can. There's a gas hob here, a microwave oven and ordinary oven, double sink, big luxury, fridge, and the cupboard space is good because it battens down all the glasses and plates over those rough roads. And then this end, the table comes out to make another double bed, and we're keeping one of the suitcases here. We made the mistake of bringing 2 suitcases, and there really isn't the room here. We'd actually have done better to bring soft bags, which can be folded away. You don't have to stay on a campsite, of course. One of the beauties of campervanning is, home is wherever you want it to be. Bungaree Station is a working sheep farm, which supplements its income by taking in tourist guests, who can stay in one of the comfortably converted farm buildings or park their campervans in the grounds, with full access to showers and toilets and so on. Bungaree has 10,000 sheep. It's famous for its merino wool. And of course, if there's one thing guaranteed to keep children amused on holiday, it's animals. With the delights of the outback ahead of us, animals were to become quite a theme of this holiday.
He's got it all over his face.
At dinner that evening, we were quickly made to feel part of the family, sharing a home-cooked meal on the terrace alongside the other guests. The next day we headed north again, and now we were beginning to feel we really were in Australia.
There's millions, there's about 10.
Through over there! On the right, starboard. Through to starboard. Then, as we bowled along the unmade roads, a small problem. Look at this, Billy, the catch is completely gone. And the whole middle bit's dropped out. Well, I don't know where it's gone.
It started popping this morning when we were trying to lock it.
What's happened here is the catch on this door has gone completely, and a bit of the lock's dropped off. And I don't know what we're going to do about it, really, because we can't drive along with the door flapping open.
That's one advantage of having a camera crew travelling behind you. One of these kind of octopus hooky things.
Oh, right, so if you...
Shove it in up there somewhere. And Charlie, will you hold on to the other end, or should you stick it onto a hook in there?
the door now held reasonably firmly shut by means of a bungee, we carried on to our next campsite at Wilpena Pound. As we travelled further and further north towards the outback, the scenery became more rugged, and so did the campsites. At Wilpena there was little more than a token shower and toilet block surrounded by woodland. Luckily, the motel next door had a good restaurant and a shop to stock up with provisions. Bye. Wilpena Pound is a huge natural amphitheatre surrounded by rock and mountains, and the only way to see it really is from the air, which I'm going to have to miss because I get airsick. But the kids are going to tell me all about it. Don't forget, you're going to tell me everything you see, okay? And take those pictures.
That's called Wilpena Pound. It's a big circle of rocks. Yeah.
But I wasn't going to miss out on the scenery, so that afternoon Charlie and I took a four-wheel drive trip into the mountains, while Billy and Megan were learning more about the Aborigines on an educational tour.
Now we're going to look for a witchetty grub, and what you normally look for is you'll see a dot in the tree.
Right.
So now I'm just going to dig it out.
Do they just chew into the tree and is that their food?
Yeah.
Getting steep. You can just imagine dinosaurs wandering around here, can't you? It's the oldest mountain range in the world.
Doesn't look as though it's changed much.
Oops, there's a Brontosaurus.
Oh, it's a whopper. Yummy.
Okay.
Thousand Island dressing and we're off. Bush tucker.
Just take the head off and the tail and just clean it up. This is lunch.
Cooked in the traditional Aboriginal way. Lovely. That's quite nice, actually. It kind of tastes like walnuts. Would you like some eggs?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
It's delicious. It tastes just like chocolate.
Doesn't.
She's right, it doesn't taste like chocolate.
From Wilpena, we headed into the Flinders Range. Plenty of water and a well-stocked fridge were vital. This was the toughest but most spectacular part of our journey.
On the right there.
Hey kids, there's three of them, 3 emus. Yeah, let's stop and have a look. Amazing.
They keep running away. Look how fast they run. The 3 of them.
Well, there were 3 emus there, but unfortunately when you run after them, they run away, and they run away much faster. Charlie, come back! Oh, it's true. It's a lot bumpier than I thought.
By now, the roads were no more than hot, dusty dirt tracks. The air conditioning kept us relatively cool inside the van, but outside, the temperature was 100 degrees plus in the middle of the day. We were heading for Bratchana Gorge, a designated camping area in the heart of the Flinders Range. When we finally got there, the long, bumpy drive had definitely been worthwhile. There are no facilities here, no showers, no electricity, no toilets, and all the better for that. It's so unspoilt and natural, real bliss. It's been such a long day. We've done so much, and I'm absolutely starving.
Yes, but the downside to camping is that someone's got to do the cooking and the washing up.
Poor old Charlie. And we've just made a new friend here. This is little Nellie, the baby wallaby. She's 9 months old and she belongs to some people who are camping down the creek. Megan, come and give us a bread. If you fancy venturing into the Australian outback, the cost of a trip this May for a family of 4 would work out at £2,934. That breaks down into the cost of return flights to Adelaide, which are £719 per adult and £482 per child. A camper van for 8 days is £532, including £48 for insurance. If your idea of bliss is being able to watch the trains go by all night long from the comfort of your bed, then we may have found the ideal break for you. It's a weekend stay at a hotel made entirely from converted railway carriages. John Pittman took the train, of course, to York to discover the unique attractions of the Sidings Hotel.
Sing the weeping is the coronation's song. In the countryside, just outside York and smack bang on the London to Edinburgh main line, is a unique hotel fashioned from wonderful old railway carriages. Rail enthusiasts, please don't call us spotters, are mad about it.
Can you sleep in this place with these trains rattling by all the time?
It takes a little bit of getting used to, the trains trundling by, particularly when the heavy freights move, because if 2,000 tons of coal passing by at 60 miles an hour rattles the earth. We were sitting in bed the first night we were here reading as a coal train came past, and she turned to me and said, "Did the earth move for you?"
Did it?
It trundled a little bit.
The sidings is the inspiration of Bert Gemmell.
When we built this, we decided to have something quite unique, so we turned room 8 into a 4-poster honeymoon suite, and this you see here is our 4-poster.
Something odd about wanting to spend your honeymoon with trains rattling
Well,
by.
yes, but the first honeymoon couple we had here, he spent all of the first night with his head out the window, photographing every train that went past.
Whole of the night?
The whole of the night. And she was not very happy about that, but he made up for it on the second night.
How do you know he made up for it on the second night?
Well, it was just the smile across their faces that told the story.
It's mostly the men who gather on the observation platform, jotting down numbers and declaring love and affection for the 130 trains that hurtle by every day.
56 on the parade. 56.
Partners tend to pop into York or go for long walks in the country. What's nice is that the train drivers always hoot a hello to the men who've discovered how to make boyhood last forever. Now, at the risk of upsetting Clement Freud, who helps out with British Rail sarnies, I must say that the food here is far superior to anything I've ever had served on a train. The ambience is nostalgic. There are tapes of old steam engines hissing away, and the sensation is the same as travelling on a train without any of the hassle. And you get to meet fascinating folk like Sid and Barbara from Cumbria.
Have you got friends who can't understand why you're so keen on all this?
I think a lot of them do.
Yeah, I get a lot of stick from work.
What
the old fellas going off chasing choo-choos again.
What do you do?
I'm a community policeman, 28 years service.
People think, oh, I don't know if you're going to take numbers for them.
Yeah, I think one of the other things is that as a child and a young man, a steam train was permanent. They were going to be here forever, and sadly they're not. So they perhaps haven't had, excuse me. The thing about this place is that it takes me back to being a little boy at home, when our holidays was a holiday runabout ticket, and the greatest thrill was to travel on a train that got home after midnight. And there was the clickety-clack and that nice sleepy sensation. And I can still imagine that as they're going past, lying here in these carriages. So I can go to sleep. And if you cast your mind back to your youth, and I'm sure there were steam trains around you could probably get a good night's sleep.
A 2-night break at the Sidings Hotel costs from £85 per person, including breakfast and dinner. And if you're a romantic train enthusiast, the room with a 4-poster bed is an extra £10 per night. Details of all the holidays in tonight's programme are on CFAX page 688.
Well, I've just time for one final dip in the Blue Lagoon before catching my flight home.
Next week I'm in France on a camping holiday, looking at one of the most affordable ways for a family to have a holiday abroad. John Pittman takes a peep at how the other half holiday when he joins a luxurious cruise liner. And Shonkagua finds out that you can still holiday in the former Yugoslavia when he visits Slovenia.
So until next week in France, goodbye.
There's further information on travel to Iceland, Australia and Tossa de Mar in the March issue of the BBC's Holidays magazine.
Now he